Hi guys! Oh my god, like this episode was... I still can't get over this episode. Like, I'm so excited, I'm so happy, oh my god. Thank you Queen Aisha for giving us such an amazing episode. Like, I just can't. This was so perfect, such a masterpiece. Like, I get why John and Devin were so excited for episode 40. It was an emotional roller coaster for me. Like, I was happy, I was laughing, I was surprised, I was excited. I don't know, I just can't put it into words. Before I get into my review and you're new to this channel, I want to say hello and welcome to my weekly Erkenci Kush reviews, where I summarize the previous Erkenci Kush episode, tell you what I liked and didn't like, and also my predictions for the coming episodes. If you like these kinds of videos, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and we will meet on a weekly basis. Let's get into the review. So before I get into the main Janem storyline, let's talk as always about the smaller storylines. So we get to know what happened with each one of them. We have Dagan working on a chicken farm. Then we get to know from Muzo that Aisha actually ran off with Chakal, took all the money that she had, and I think she also sold the shops. So Muzo has nothing left because all the money that he had left, he spent on his trip to Papua New Guinea, where he married Gülis and also divorced her after a short period of time, and so he came back to Istanbul. Gigi actually wanted to be just like Can. He was his role model kind of, but he somehow failed, so now he's dressed like Can, behaving like Can, but selling lemons on a bazaar. And oh my god, like JJ was amazing this episode. I laughed every time I saw him, especially dressed as Can, and then he talked like him, and when Muzo said something positive, it was like, Can, you know, doing this. It was hilarious. And then the way he sold lemons, he was like, e lemons, buy lemons, buy e lemons. Even thinking about it, I have to laugh so much because he was so hilarious. So when JJ is selling those lemons, Muzo comes and tells him the good news that he bought the rights to Fikri Harika, so they can kind of relaunch this company, and they're all happy. Then we have Liam. So Emre tells everyone that he's a consultant, even tells it to his father when they meet. Later in the episode, we kind of hear that Emre is actually unemployed. The only one working is Layla, and he's kind of embarrassed about it. And they're also struggling with money, so they live with Nihat and Mefkebe, saying that they need a place to stay while their house is being built, or their kitchen or something. And then they also meet up with some old friends and they order really expensive food. Emre also wants to eat what that guy is eating, but Layla stops him, so they only drink coffee. And then when the check comes, because they need to go to Janem, Emre picks it up and Layla is like, what are you doing? And it's quite expensive. And he was like, uh-oh, what did I do? Mefkebe is also like, they should go now, kind of. Like, how long does it take to build this kitchen? I don't know if this will be a problem. I hope not. Maybe they will be close to divorcing because all those problems are building up. But I really do hope that they find their way back to each other, because love is stronger than all those problems. So that's just my first intuition after seeing episode 40. What I liked was that everyone had a smaller or a bigger style change, or just they changed in some way. So of course Janem changed. Emre cut his hair, Layla cut her hair, Nihat also cut his hair, and now he's dressed like smart casual kind of. What I missed this episode was what happened to Mefkebe's shop. Mefkebe also had a slight change, so now she has those more sophisticated hairstyles. We also found out that Sanem moved, so now she has kind of a little farm, and she has a new friend. Her name is Dennis. She studied psychology, so she's not really her therapist. She just gives her advice from a psychological point of view. And the other woman that we met later in the episode, she's actually the landlord. Anyways, before I start rambling way too much, let's get into the main storyline, Janem. Like, oh my god. The episode starts with Sanem being at a reading, which we saw in the trailer. Can is on his boat, docks, because he needs some peace for his boat, because otherwise it wouldn't work or something like that. He wanders around, walks past Sanem's reading place, and I was like, oh my god, like they're crossing paths but not really seeing each other. It's kind of a deja vu. Back to episode 1 when Sanem was looking at everyone's shoes and she walked past John, or when he walked past her, like just like the old magic is back and I'm so excited. Anyways, he walks past that reading place. He looks but doesn't see Sanem. Yeet is actually sitting next to Sanem. He has a cane. Anyways, Sanem sees John sitting there watching her, but he's not there, so she has kind of hallucinations. Then people from the audience ask her questions if it was inspired by her real life. She says real life is no fairy tale, and also that in the book it has a happy ending and they live happily ever after with their kids. And she also mentions that she's writing a sequel. So is this a hint that Erkenci Crush will continue on even after they have children? Like, I would love that. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you agree with me. Anyways, after the reading, Yeet and Sanem go for a walk. He says, we still have 4 hours till our flight. Do you want to grab some lunch? But she wants to be alone, walk alone, because she still has panic attacks whenever she thinks about John, thinks she sees John. So she just wants to relax, be alone. And while they're talking, John walks past, like in the background, and I'm like, oh my god, like this episode is amazing. So Sanem wanders around, John does the same, looks for a shop where he can buy that bolt, but it starts raining. One thing that I've noticed is when they change the camera angle and Sanem is coming from between the buildings, she doesn't have a hood on, even though she put the hood on a second before that, and then you see her close up and she has her hood back on. I was like, okay. Anyways, it starts raining. She turns around, sees a cinema, sees a movie poster, which is called Katukral, like what she called him back in the day when she was drunk in his cottage. Like, oh my god, I was like, no, this is not happening. Like, I was so excited. Anyways, she goes in and I was like, oh my god, Aisha, please don't kill me within those couple of minutes and tell me that she's actually recreating, or it's really happening, what John invented while being at dinner with Fabri. Because what I forgot to say, while she was at that reading, she read the passage where she wrote about the time John met Fabri, and John came up with the story that they met in Paris, and we see that flashback, and then seeing it actually rain, and then her going to the movies, him turning around, walking around, seeing the poster, and then walking into the cinema. I was like, oh my god, Aisha, you're killing me. Like, what? Is this really happening? And then it happens just like he invented it back then. Oh my god, I was so excited. I was all over the place. I was a mess. Anyways, it happens exactly like he told Fabri back then. He smells her scent. First he looks if it's her. He recognizes her. And I was like, oh my god. And then his look, like he was so pained, and I don't know, he had so many emotions running through his eyes, and I was like a mess. Anyways, he buys tickets. They're alone in that theater, and he's actually watching her with this really soft, loving look. I'm like, oh my god, this is perfection. Anyways, after some time, he stands up, wants to walk away, looks back at Sanem, but then stands there, and I think she has this feeling that he's close, because it kind of reminded me of when she broke his camera and she was in the props room doing something, and then she closed her eyes, so she kind of felt him coming. So she actually felt him being there, and then when she turned around, he walked away, so she kind of only saw his shadow, but she knew it was him, so she had a slight panic attack. That's why she called Dennis, told her that she saw him, and she was asking for advice kind of. While she talks to Dennis on the phone, she describes that while she had that reading, she saw them happily together with their 3 kids, and then she describes their kids, how they look like. I'm like, oh my god, please let that happen. What I want to see is, because we got, I think it was only one one scene where Can is reading in Sanem's book, because Remide, when she found him with the detective, she talked to him, and then when she went away, she actually left a book with him, and she said that's from an author you really love. And I was like, oh my god, Remide, please don't. Is this really Sanem's book? I got really excited. So it's actually Sanem's book, and towards the end he reads a passage, and that really fit that moment. So what I want to see is them reading parts of Sanem's book which really fit that scene, so they find their answers within that book, if that makes sense. Anyways, while all of this is happening, Aziz and Emre actually meet and they have a talk. Emre is all sad that he disappointed their father, is kind of ashamed of everything, that he lost the company after Can left. I really like Aziz because he's so chill. He's like, I don't care about anything else, and I only worked for two dear things, and that's you and Can. And then Aziz actually asks what really happened with Can, why did he disappear? And so Emre tells the whole story about Sanem and is like, do you remember Sanem? And Aziz is like, oh, the girl with the photographic memory. I really do hope that Aisha will bring back Sanem's photographic memories, because we kind of lost it on the way to episode 40. So I already mentioned that Remide found Can, and he's all surprised. How did she find him? Because Canem wasn't actually in Istanbul, so it was some other city in Turkey, and it was just pure coincidence that they were there at the same time. Anyways, Remide tells him everything that happened, that the company went bankrupt. Can asks about everyone, Deren, JJ, Emre. I think that's all. So yeah, I already mentioned her leaving Sanem's book with him. Then we see Emre telling Mama David that Aziz is back. She was so shocked, and then she wants to meet up with him because she has so much to tell him, like in an angry way. But Emre is like, well, that's not possible because he doesn't want to see you. She gets all angry. How can he say that? Oh my god, I laughed so much. It was so amazing. So in the evening, Sanem is back in Istanbul talking with Dennis what happened, and we hear that the doctor told Sanem that she needs to be in nature, that she can't be in the city, she needs fresh air and stuff like that. And then Sanem is like, would you come with me if I moved back? So maybe we will see Sanem moving back to the neighborhood, but with Dennis. So maybe oh my god, what if Dennis and JJ come together, you know? She moves in with JJ, so Dennis will be close to Sanem. Anyways, Muzo and JJ come to Sanem, tell her the good news that they bought the rights to Fikri Harika and that they need a partner. At first she's like, no, I'm not interested, but they kind of convince her. She signs the contract. Now she has 98% shares and Muzo 1 and JJ 1%, and they're like, well, now we need a place for our headquarters. And Sanem is like, well, you can have that little hut over there. And they're like, no, we can't, like, we need something nice and with a view. And Muzo is swinging her. It was so hilarious. And then they convince her that they can actually use the main house, I would say, as their agency. Then we see Can on his boat unwrapping Remide's gift, and then he reads Sanem's dedication, and then he knows who wrote it. He knows it's him. He gets all emotional, and then we see Sanem on the dock. So the next day we see Deren being stuck in mud. She comes, JJ is like, what's up with that? Like, she's all covered in mud. Remide and Aziz are having a little meeting. Remide is all shocked that Fikri Harika's rights were sold, and she says, well, go call Metin. Maybe we will see Metin sometime in the future. And he's like, well, do you know what? I don't care about anything. I actually sold it for a very low price. And then Remide is like, you know what? I have the address. Let's go there. We will see what's happening. They go there. Deren, JJ and Muzo are sitting outside talking. And then JJ is like, oh my god, she's coming. She's coming. And I'm like, don't you dare tell me that he actually feels Aziz and Remide coming. And he's like, the chickens are coming. So he actually felt Remide coming, and it was so hilarious. And then they see them. First, Remide is all shocked that they have the real sign of Fikri Harika hanging there. But then Deren comes and is like, Aziz Bear, we missed you so much. And then JJ is so happy to see Aziz. It was oh my god, so adorable but so funny. And then Muzo introduces himself. It was so funny. And then they bring up Sanem. Remide is like, Sanem? That's when Remide and Aziz have this plan to bring Can to Sanem, what we already saw in the trailer. And I love that they are the head of team Bring Back Canem, because they have more power over Can, you know. So I'm so happy. And then they are like, yes, we will bring Can to Sanem. It was so funny. I really love them. Anyways, Sanem comes, greets Aziz, and then when he gets a message from Can that he's close and where should he go, and Aziz actually says, Can messaged me, Sanem gets this slight panic attack and walks off. And what I've noticed, whenever she has those panic attacks, you know, she puts her hand here, like, I can't show it, like here somewhere, and I'm like, is this like a breathing exercise? But no, it's not, because at the end we will see what she's actually doing with her hand there. Anyways, Can comes, as I said, and then he's like all happy to be reunited with Aziz, and they're all excited. And then Can asks, well, what are you doing here? And then Deren, Muzo and JJ come. JJ has, for some reason, eggs in his hand, and then when he sees Can, he lets them go and they fall. It was so funny. And then he's so happy to see Can. He runs up to him. It was just so hilarious. And then Muzo, the one who has no filter in this episode, actually says to Can that this is Sanem's house and that's the headquarters of their company, blah blah blah. And Can kind of has the same reaction as Sanem, not really a panic attack, but being like, oh no, I can't be here, this can't be true. And Aziz is trying to keep him there, but he's like, no, I will go, I can't be here. And that's when we see the preview of Can coming from somewhere, so Sanem's property, and Sanem sitting there on the dock. What I forgot to say is that night when she was sitting alone on the dock, she actually wrote a note, put it in a bottle, threw it out in the sea, and I'm like, we will see those bottles for sure sometime in the future. Like, this has to mean something. Anyways, we get the preview. Sanem questioning Can, why did he come? Because last time he said he will go, he went, so he can go now as well. But then he says, I came because of my father, because I wanted to see him. Or she said something like, you said you wouldn't leave me but you left, so now you can go. I think that's what she said. And then he says that he didn't know it was her place, so he's only there for Aziz. And then Muzo and JJ are looking for Sanem to tell her that Can is back. JJ tries to explain it to her in a very soft manner, what we already saw in the trailer, but Muzo actually says it. Then, because Sanem says, well, he's going now, JJ is so desperate not to let Can go, so he runs up. It's like, jump in, you can't leave, stop, now I have you. And he's holding that rope, and I'm like, dude, you can't hold the whole boat. It was so funny. And then he's trying to say something to Can until he comes up with the idea that Aziz is feeling sick. Then calls Deren, tells her what he did. So Deren is like, come on please, we have to move quickly. And Aziz and Remy, they are so happy that JJ came up with that idea to kind of keep Can here. Sanem comes, sees Aziz on the couch being like, oh my god, like, he was amazing. I love this guy so much. Like, Aziz, I love you. Anyways, he's acting as if he's sick. Sanem gets really worried and is like, you know what, I will make you some tea. Goes out, they walk past each other. Can is like, I'm here for my father. She says, he's inside. And that was that. Oh, what I forgot to mention was Deren actually explaining to Sanem how it happened. So she's like, oh my god, he was like, oh, he couldn't breathe. And then he almost had a heart attack. And Remy is like, don't exaggerate, he's not that bad. It was so funny. Anyways, all of them go, only Can and Aziz are left. Can apologizes to Aziz for disappointing him, for letting him down, because all of that happened because of him, and he's really sorry, but he will make it up to Aziz. Aziz is like, don't worry about me. And then Sanem prepares tea. Can comes out of the bedroom, wants to get some water. He walks past Sanem. There's this intense moment, her trying to ignore him looking at her, trying to talk to her, explain himself, but not really being able to do so. And then we have another amazing moment, a deja vu for me, which happened back in the day when Remide locked Janem in this warehouse, kind of. One was thinking one thing, the other one was thinking the same thing, and that's what happened here as well. It was so amazing. And then when Sanem made the tea, Aziz was like looking what is happening, and then when Sanem comes in, he's like, hello. It was so funny. Anyways, he's like, well, I don't want to bother you, but my doctor said to be in nature, fresh air, and so on. And Sanem says, you know what, you can stay. So Aziz is really happy to be able to stay at Sanem's, and Can stays because of him. Then we have the amazing scene where Deren, Remide and JJ are in a car. Remide is telling them that they should keep the secret of Aziz actually playing being sick, and as soon as JJ hears the word secret, he loses it. It was so funny. After that, Janem is calling Liam, just like I said, telling them, like Sanem telling Layla, Can telling Emre that the other person forgot what happened between them. They erased each other out of each other's lives, like just saying the exact same thing just to the other person. Emre and Can reunite, which is really nice to see, and Layla is still angry at Can, and she didn't want to say hello to him, but Emre was like, come on, don't be like that. So after she says hello to Can, she goes and looks for Sanem. So I kind of understand why she's still angry at Can, but it's only because they don't know the truth. Anyways, Layla finds Sanem looking at his boat. They have a little conversation about what if they drown his boat, and then Sanem is like, well, I thought about it as well, but then it would mean that he wouldn't be able to leave anymore. Then Sanem is like, did you see him? Yes, I did. And then she's like, well, he changed a lot. And then talking about his appearance, and I'm like, girl, yes, he changed a lot, but then we have the Divids talking with each other, Emre being all happy that Aziz is feeling a little bit better, but then saying that he will look for a house for Aziz, and Aziz is like, well, can't you look for a house near here, because I want to be close to the agency and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that now he's a shareholder, so Aziz has 49%, Sanem has 49%, and Muzo and JJ still have 1%. There is such a sweet moment between Aziz and Layla, and then Aziz tells Can, I expect the same performance from you. Can is just looking at Sanem, and then Aziz, I mean, this man is killing me because he knows exactly what he's talking about, because he was like, oh Can, back in the day you talked on the phone one time with me and was like, you found the love of your life in Istanbul, and what was her name again? And that's when Sanem goes out. Can doesn't answer and goes to his boat. Before that, what I forgot is that Mama David calls Emre. Aziz gets all panicky because he doesn't want to see Mama David. Emre tells Mama David that Can is back. She's all happy. Then Emre says that they're at Sanem's place because of Aziz, and that's when she gets angry. Then Can walks out because Sanem is outside doing her breathing exercises. They have a little discussion, her telling him, why did you leave? And then him being like, well, you didn't trust me, you blamed me for burning your notebook. And then she's like, I blamed you because it was only you two, and why would Yeet burn my notebook? And then he's like, well, he lied and you didn't believe me. So again, this trust issue is coming up. And then she's like, you wouldn't have left if you were innocent. And then he's like, well, you wanted me to leave. She's like, no, I didn't want you to leave, I wanted you to stay. I called you so many times to see if you're dead or alive, but you didn't call me back. And he's like, well, consider it dead because love made me such a bad person, and I killed that Can. You should forget about him, or something like that. And I was like, oh, no. But at the same time, I'm like, I love it. Then we get to see Layla calling Mevkebe, telling her that Can is back. Mevkebe and Nihat get all angry, but in the evening they all have dinner at Sanem's place. It was really awkward. Like, Mevkebe was shooting daggers at Can. I felt so bad for Can. Like, he was only looking, like his eyes kept moving, and he was so awkward. And I think Nihat felt bad for Can because Sanem Sanem was making digs, Mevkebe doing the same, Layla kind of saving the moment and trying to explain what Can actually wanted to say, but then they all want to go home. And then Nihat actually asks Can if he has a couple of minutes to talk with him. The master of speeches. He starts off that conversation with, I loved you like my own son. We trusted you with our daughter, but then you broke her, you left her. And then when he mentions that Sanem was in therapy in the hospital, Can is all shocked and so devastated. And Nihat is like, I'm telling you, stay away from Sanem. And then Can is like, I totally understand it. I don't want to do anything to upset her. And then Nihat was kind of looking at him and then walking off, and I'm like, Nihat, you are being protective of your daughter, completely fine, but he still has that soft spot for Can. I'm sure of it. Then we have a Hoot meeting where she's like, oh my god, Can is back, blah blah blah, and he's at Sanem's place, and Yeet gets all angry and storms off. Sanem is outside, taxi comes, Yeet comes, and I'm like, for a handicapped person, you can walk really well, my friend. Anyways, he's walking up to Sanem and then telling her, well, how is she? Because he got all worried because he called her all day. And I'm like, no, you didn't, but okay. Then Sanem tells Yeet that Can is back. He gets all like surprised and then angry. Why is he back? Blah, blah, blah. And then he says that they have a proposal from Spain to have her there or something like that, but she doesn't want to go because she feels safe on her farm, and that she doesn't want to travel until she settled all her problems. So I believe all the things with Can. Then we see Can thinking about all the things that Sanem and Nihat said. So I think he wanted to talk to Sanem about this whole situation, but when he comes he sees Yeet, and then this whole stare down Yeet versus Can is happening. So Yeet is like, what are you doing here? I told you not to cross my path. And Can is all calm. I think that's what changed in him. I don't think we will see Can aggressive anymore. That's just my theory. And he's like, well, I didn't cross your path, and if you don't want it to happen, then don't go there where I am, or something like that. And then Yeet is like, what do you want to say? Is your place next to Sanem? And then Sanem is looking at each other, and Sanem walks off, and then Yeet has this small conversation with Sanem in her kitchen because she wants to be alone, but he's like, no, I won't let this happen. And then he's all like, Then the next day we get this hilarious scene where Muzo is in the vegetable garden, and we see a scarecrow with Can's face, and the face is actually from the cardboard cut out from Polen's book launch, and Muzo keeps laughing at it. Can comes, sees the face, and is all confused. Anyways, we have a small meeting between Daran, JJ and Aziz, and Aziz is like, you know what, I don't care about anything. I only care about this thing because it makes Can stay. JJ is like, he's coming. Don't forget, Aziz Bey, you are sick. And then Aziz is like, oh, it was so hilarious. And then Daran asks Can if he can help her because he's all experienced in that. And then Daran is like this, and Aziz and JJ are like this, and then Aziz and JJ are fist bumping, but Can sees it, and then both of them are like, he saw it, yes he did. It was so hilarious. I loved it so much. And while Can is there with Daran, JJ and Aziz, Dennis and Sanem are watering the plants, doing something there and looking at Can. Before that, he actually walked past Sanem and asked if she needs any help with the loading, and she was like, no. That's when he goes to Aziz, JJ and Daran. Anyways, they were looking, and I think Dennis wasn't expecting for Can to be that handsome. I think she was overwhelmed by his handsomeness because she kept staring at Can. Sanem was like, don't look, and then Sanem and Can are looking at each other, and it was like this amazing moment. Anyways, we get to see another Hood meeting where Mama David is planting new seeds into his brain, and that's when we actually see what happened in the hospital when she told him that he should play that he can't walk. Then Mama David calls Emre, who is also there with Can and Aziz, and tells him that she wants to meet Can. Anyways, they're talking about a house for Aziz, and Sanem says, well, you know what, the landlord has a house not far from here, and she will come pick up the creams that are made for her, and that's when you can talk with her. And then she gives Aziz a cream. He smells smells it, and then Emre smells it, and Can smells it, and he has all those flashbacks of them being together and their first kiss in the opera house. Anyways, that woman comes. Her name is Meriban. First I was like, is that the woman he cheated on Mama David with? But we found out that she's actually his first love and that she left him. That night Aziz goes with Meriban to Mevkibe and Nihat for dinner, and Aziz is all amazed by their neighborhood, and Mevkibe was kind of like, why are you here, to Meriban. But then Leyla tells Mevkibe that it's Aziz's first love, and that's when Mevkibe changes completely. Before that, Aziz, Can and Emre have a talk about Meriban, and Deniz, Sanem and Meriban have a talk about Aziz, and they both talk about love. They're just saying things that resonate with Can and Sanem. So yeah. While Leia, Mevkibe, Nihat, Aziz, Meriban have dinner, they come up with something about Leyla, and Mevkibe wants to look for a picture, and then she looks out the window, sees Mama David coming, is all desperate, tells Leyla that she and Emre should go out for dinner and take Mama David with them because Aziz bloomed since he's with Meriban and she doesn't want to ruin the moment. So Liam take Mama David out for dinner. Then we see Can on his boat having no water left, and he's like, okay, I will go to Sanem. So he goes. We see Sanem and Yi talking. He's a creep and comes once again, and I'm like, dude, do you have a Can alert or something? Because it doesn't make sense. Why are you always there whenever Can wants to come? Anyways, Yi and Sanem have a conversation that he got a proposal from New York to have her there for 6 months or something. Can actually listens to that conversation and she says, thank you Yi for everything you've done, for supporting me, for helping me, blah blah blah. Can gets all frustrated and stuff and walks off, and that's a typical movie move. Another deja vu, because that already happened with Aylin, Emre and Leyla. When Leyla thought that Aylin and Emre were back together, that's what happens here, because he thinks that Sanem will accept Yi's offer, but she actually declines because she doesn't want to go from here. He gets all angry, all frustrated with her, and Can doesn't hear it. So he's all sad, goes back to the boat, sees Aziz there. Then he tells him that he can't stay any longer, he just wants to go. Aziz is like, no, why? And Can is like, well, I'm sorry I disappointed you, I will make it up to you, but I can't stay here. And Aziz is like, you didn't disappoint me, I will support you, whatever you're doing. And then they say goodbye to each other. Can kind of wants to say goodbye to Sanem as well, goes back to Sanem. Sanem is making perfume. He goes, says that she has a nice place here. She doesn't answer him. Then he asks if he can take the perfume. She just nods, and then he takes it, asks her, aren't you going to say anything? And she says there are no words left or something like that. And then he's just looking at her and then saying goodbye. And then she has all those flashbacks of him saying that he only came for Aziz, and that's when she realizes that he's actually going. And then she runs after him, but he's already off, and she starts crying. And then we see him taking something from his pocket, and he still has that bandana he had from Sanem back in the day, if you remember. Sanem actually pulls a necklace out, and now we know why she kept putting her hand here whenever she thought of him, and that's because she has her engagement ring on a chain. So both of them have something from the other person. She cries, looks after him. He stops the engine, sits down, reads, and actually reads a passage, like I said, which fit that situation really well, because there she says, like, there are no words needed because I'm his all the way. He's in my veins, he's in my blood, I see him everywhere. It makes him understand that she still loves him, that there's nobody else than him, and that's when he realizes it. And then he's like, oh my god, what have I done? And then he goes down, takes something blue from a cupboard, and then throws it in the water. And at first I was like, what is that? Like, I don't understand what that is. And then you see his eyes move slightly, and that's the end. Now to Alex's predictions for episode 41. So what I think that thing is, because at the beginning of the episode he needed a piece or something to make his boat work again. I think that's the thing. So he threw that in the sea so his boat wouldn't work anymore, so he has a reason to go back. And I think he saw Sanem standing there on the dock. So right before I started filming, we got a new trailer and I'm like, oh, so excited. I don't know what they're saying because there's no translation yet as of me filming it now. So that's what I kind of understood from the trailer. So JJ is blaming Dennis for kind of keeping some friends apart or something like that. So they're making a plan of some sort. I don't know if it's about Janem or somebody else. Anyways, I have a feeling that JJ and Dennis will have minor fights and disagreements, but in the end they will find their way towards each other, if you know what I mean. Then we also see Mama David and Aziz. Mama David saying that Sanem will ruin John, so he needs to stay away from her, and Aziz having a completely different opinion and saying if he stays away from Sanem there's no John left, so he needs Sanem. Then we see JJ, Muzo, Daran getting out of a car, and then a mysterious guy. Then we see John with a backpack and people being happy, Daran and JJ being happy that he's back. So I think my theory of him purposefully breaking down his boat is true. That's all I could understand, and I don't think I have any more predictions or theories. And my battery is flashing. It's telling me, Alex, you talked way too much once again, and no, I want to talk more. Anyways, I will end it here. If you're still watching, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment what your thoughts are on this amazing episode 40, what you think is going to happen next. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already to see weekly Erkenci reviews, and I will see you next time. Bye!